Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast.
I never hit record. We have no sound. Yes! It just hit me. I'm like, I never hit record.
Hey, guys, if you don't mind.
I was wondering. I was actually wondering. Like, I didn't see you do anything, but I thought I just figured.
It should be like, dude, the button's not red.
Well, if you don't mind, since I didn't get that promo, I'm just gonna do some sign language real quick to let people know. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. Well.
Wow, stop that thing, and I guess we'll
this is a blooper reel, bro. This is a blooper reel.
Well, you can stop it, and we'll blooper reel.
So PJ, what happened?
Hey, I didn't push this button right here.
Yeah.
Right here that records.
How long did we record?
Well, that's how I found out. I was trying to look and see how long we'd been recording.
And you looked at the
and I'm like,
said,
it's not doing anything. I didn't hit the button.
Oh, ouch.
That, ladies and gentlemen.
That was a good episode.
Wow.
Great episode, too.
But I guess you had to be here.
Well, we did it that time, didn't we, guys? We've been podcasting for probably 20 minutes.
We
have been podcasting.
Is there a mouse in your pocket or what?
Yeah.
Well, we got to give it to you. Is there a mouse in your pocket? That was kind of a Lenny moment out of a Mice and Men.
Yeah, it was.
We've had previous podcasts with no video,
right?
Just audio.
Right.
So you were just making up for it.
I was just making up for it. Never
audio.
hit the record button. See, with no video, we just keep going with no audio. Isn't that the point of a podcast?
That might have been. It might have been better.
So, well, okay. So let's talk about that because we didn't talk about it in the podcast. You guys never heard that you had to be here for because it was only for us.
Now we don't remember what we went over and what we didn't go over. Not
at all. So the fun part is this will be a whole nother podcast because we don't script them. So it is what it is.
I'm excited that PJ's going to read a poem to us again.
I'm getting emotional a little bit, actually. I'm glad you stopped when you did.
So we got to start off with introducing Jake.
No, let's start off with this. Let's start off with the camera problem because we missed it last time. We said we were going to talk about it and we didn't. And they don't know because, I didn't hit record. Hey, so the reason the camera keeps shutting off is because it's like ridiculously hot in here.
Yes.
And, so our wonderful sponsor was kind enough to get us an air conditioner. And if you saw, we did a cool little reel. So we finally get to record. When we tried to record the last time, we could have used it. And then, so the reason we didn't record the last episode was because Rich got a fire and had to go to a fire. So we didn't have the whole team. And we just said, let's not record. And then conversation started. What if we had another person?
I remember this week. And so, Jake, me and Josh talked. And I said, no.
Rich was busy fighting.
You were fighting fire.
Well, yeah, and we had a couple other people in mind, but they couldn't show.
Yeah, so Jake was all that was left. He was the only one.
One of them was too expensive. The other one wouldn't show up at all.
Are they going to be on your podcast where you talk behind people's backs?
Yep,
that's a good name because they basically made that decision without you.
We did.
Right.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Behind their backs,
and
Rich
he
Hayes,
fought it.
You can find him on YouTube.
He fought it, Jake. He said, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm sure. He said, "Are you kidding me? Are you being serious?" And I'm like, yeah. What do you think? We got a squirrel. So no, but actually,
two. They're both silver.
One big squirrel, one small squirrel. We got two squirrels. No, we actually, so for the listeners, we were going to record, and so the reason we didn't have a podcast last week was because Rich was doing his civil duty, and I ran into a nice burning house fire. And
I actually drove. I didn't run.
It's generally better.
Squirrel. That's squirrel. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. Thanks for. But no, we was at a fire, and so me and Josh spoke, and we said, that time we had Jake on, it was special. It was in more ways than one. It was special.
Yeah,
so
it was good.
No, but we did. We said we really, really feel like we would just want to have him on, and he brings a whole nother element to the show. So, and Jake was so kind enough to join us.
Join us permanently.
He is the new member. So we had the Squirrel Smokey as our new member,
Yep.
and then
Yep,
also
that's right.
then Jake. So we've had 2 new members in the last so many weeks.
Right.
So it's
So we
amazing.
might as well just drop this here because this is information from the podcast that we did for ourselves, where Jake dropped some cool news.
Yeah.
Bringing Jake on has brought value to you guys because Jake's got an incredible. He dropped it on. We didn't even know, so we missed that surprise.
It's going to be the same code that we used a half hour ago.
He's gonna change.
I gotta change it now.
We've lost a half hour off the week now.
We did.
for
Oh,
these
boy.
guys.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jake. Tell them about what you're doing for us. this
Yeah,
week
for
the
sure. Well, hey,
listeners.
if you go over to redflannelcoffeecode.com, put in the code FIRE35, you will get 35% off all of your coffee. Doesn't matter the roast, doesn't matter the grind. 35% off for this week only. So you see this podcast today, it's good for a week. Next podcast.
Hey, and it is July 24, 2024. Just so people, if you missed it,
July 20.
yeah, July 24th of 2024.
That was good.
Just so if it's a month from now.
Isn't this dropping on
Yes, but
Friday the 26th? So
but-
today is the 26th.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's good for a
It's
week
from the
from today.
26th, July
Next
26th.
episode
Thank
that
you.
see.
so people now know what day of the week we record.
Right.
Yes. Well, we've already said that.
Oh, did we say Wednesday?
Yeah, remember
Okay.
when Rich was complaining that it took me a week or whatever to do something?
Oh, that was great. That was
that needs to be a highlight reel.
That was the sign.
Short.
Oh, that was
That
yeah,
was a
like short
sign.
on YouTube
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So no, hey, for a week from the date of this podcast
July
dropping,
26th, yeah.
and then next episode, check it out. It'll be a new code.
Yeah, so we got this really cool thing going on
At
now
a
that
different
Jake's
time.
here.
We're not going to always
Yeah.
announce it at the beginning, so you're going to have to
gotta
suffer.
stick
You're going to
around.
have the
Have to
goods.
listen.
You got to suffer.
But here's something else. Now we
Suffer.
have acquired. We got our own swag. Well, it's not much, but we got stickers now. Nice
We're working on
stickers.
it. There's gonna be
Decals.
more and more. So
Yeah. Well, and that's the other cool thing with Jake being a part of this. We've got some ideas. So guys, hang in there. But if you order, Jake actually officially, he's the one who packs your coffee with love. And so
Yes, he does.
he will pack that and, maybe, just maybe, but not always, you might get a special note like Steve got.
I tell you, I still have that. Note.
listen, you reach out saying that you're struggling to open this bag. I will handwrite you a note.
It was an
and send
intervention,
it
and
with
I
your
thank you
coffee.
for that. It was I needed that so much because I was lost. I really was.
Yeah.
But I'll say, whenever time I open up one of those bags, I smell the love coming right through as soon as it
That's
opens
right.
up. It's good. It's fresh love too. It's
Yeah.
fresh.
Oh yeah, it is.
So anyway, we were trying to say then we'll throw in a sticker for you too. You get a sweet sticker, and we're not talking. They're nice stickers. So I'm excited.
Do you have one to
about
show
it.
us?
Yeah.
They're
guess-
over there in that box.
Okay.
So
I've not seen them
They're
yet.
over there.
I haven't either.
Yeah, just look to your right.
you got to be here.
They're to you guys, they're right over here.
Yeah. So anyway,
If I hit the record button on the camera.
right.
Is it going?
We did. Yeah. See the bright red light. That's what that was supposed to look like, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
if you don't see red lights, holler at somebody.
I'll be your backup guy. I'll just let you know. And just in case I don't see it, I'll let you know from now on.
Hey, is Steve on that screen? By the way, I don't think Steve is on the screen.
That's fine.
I think you need to scoot over.
Oh, do I
Our
need to scoot
ratings.
in?
Our ratings.
Yeah,
will
there
go
you
up.
go. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see.
There he is. Yeah,
Notice he's not worried. He's not worried about me being on this screen.
He's
gotta-
we're all shifting and pushing you out.
Hey,
He's worried
by-
about Chi-Town being on.
Yeah.
By the way, this is why we got to change the mics around a little bit. But hey, so let's jump right into this so we don't get as derailed as
45
we did in the
minutes
last
later,
episode.
we're going to jump
Yeah.
right
right.
into it.
So yeah, I think we're glad to have Jake here. With Jake coming, it also meant we needed some more room. And Jake found this table that was not this. It was a big boardroom table.
Right.
That
Yeah.
he picked up, cut in half, painted up. So hopefully you like this. We like this. I can see everybody.
Yeah.
And then we are all facing the camera unless Steve scoots off into the tree over there. Where did he go? Whoa. Squirrels do like trees, don't
Wear
they?
camo next time, Steve.
Yeah, he's hugging the air conditioner.
Packing nuts in there.
I can feel it over here. Actually, that's
The AC.
Yeah.
So can I. Yeah.
Hopefully
feels
we don't
nice.
have camera problems now. All right. Well, we want to jump into this topic, and I guess what we should say is, if you don't know Jake, go back through. He was on for 2 episodes, and there's a lot there talking about who he is and all of that. So let's make sure you go back and watch that, and you'll get to know Jake along the way as you have us. I guess one more thing though, Steve, that we don't want to rob you of from this. We already talked about it, but
Yes,
again, nobody heard. So, tell us about the brand new announcement that you have for us, something that you've got all set up for us.
Well, I didn't do it alone. It's my partner in crime here, Jake, actually helped me out because I don't know how to figure out email addresses
how
at
many
all.
people does it take to set up an email address?
You know what? Have you seen me open up a bag of coffee? I mean, it's amazing.
I didn't do it. Thanks for helping him, Jake.
Jake, did you write it out on a piece of paper? Send it to him?
I sent it to him via receipt, just like last time. Yeah.
This is why I'm married, because I need help in everything I do. So no, actually, we were thinking about it because there are some people and some guests we will have in the future that I've been kind of talking to behind the scenes, and one of the ways of communication is through email. And as we were setting it all up and sending things to and fro, I thought, this is ridiculous. We need to have an email address that just represents the podcast. So with Jake's fine help, he's already contributed, before he even got on the show, he contributed already. We set up a new Gmail account, and we want to use this Gmail account, as we always say. Leave your stuff in the comments. Let us know if you have prayer requests. Well, here we go.
But this is a little more private for
a little more
right?
private, yeah, because I understand on the YouTube, your name comes up. So we have a new Gmail account. It is FFIF, so it's Faith Forged and Fire, FFIF podcast @gmail.com is our new email address. So if you get a hold of us on there with any of your prayer requests or any show ideas or anything you want to talk about, we will get back to you and have a conversation. And that's a nice way to reach out to us, and we can have some communication privately.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for doing that.
Sure.
That's something we've talked about for a little while and just haven't taken the time to get it set up. So we're going to drop that link right down in the description.
What was funny about it too is that I'm thinking it's really complex, and I'm talking to Jake, and I go, "So if you don't mind doing it," he goes, "Yeah, it's already done."
we were on the phone. I just had you in my Bluetooth, and you're talking about it, and I'm just like, all right, here we go.
Because it's already done. I said,
like,
okay.
which
Now I feel
one
like
of these are available? All right, FFIFpodcast @gmail.com. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It expedited it. All right.
And then, so I was super busy. That I was out of town last week, and I was speaking, and so I wasn't even really able to be in that. But I'm kind of watching it, and then he goes, "Well, how do we make sure that everybody can have access to this?" And I'm like, "Well, the only way is a shared password." And then Jake jumped in real quick and said,
what was that?
Share the password.
It's a joke, Steve. Don't say it.
I won't say it. I'm not saying a word.
Right.
I'm not saying a word.
Oh, poor Steve. Shy Town.
So we were jumping into this.
What's the Chi-Town one?
I've lost track of them.
What's the red button do?
It means we're podcasting for real. There it is.
Yeah, that's the Chi-Town one.
This is for all his work on the email address.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey,
That sounds like an 80s or 90s sitcom.
You know,
I feel like
Duncan,
it needs to have intros.
If you look on social media, that's the thing right now. I don't know if you've seen that. Like in Reels, that's the thing, is people acting out like, well, in a 90s sitcom when this happens. And so as soon as I hit that, that's what went through my mind too. Is like, I feel like we're getting ready to watch a sitcom.
We need to get a disco ball that comes down. As soon as you do that, we just start doing that, and then that's it. That's over. And it goes right back up.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
No, okay, forget it. I tried. It was an idea. It was a show idea.
You're too close to the center. We need you to slide right. Like you need to be really by that tree over there.
Okay.
If you could, Steve, actually the other side of it.
Steve, I really like the idea of the disco ball. Why don't you email our sponsor, and we'll do it. If our sponsor will buy the disco ball, I would be happy to hang it up. If he says no, then it's no bueno.
All right.
Check.
Show topic. Show topic. We're sorry. Well, we're not, but we are.
Shiny squirrel.
Yeah, Smokey. is there for a
Smokey.
reason.
Smokey.
He
Did
is
we
the
announce
man.
that?
We
Did you
didn't
guys-
announce that in the show.
No.
No, we didn't.
That we have a fine listener who came out and named Smokey, and Smokey was the name chosen.
Yeah, we had a lot of cool names.
We did have a lot of
lot of
And-
great names.
And it worked out again because Jake wasn't on the show yet. I said, well, let's keep this, you know, I don't want to play favorite because we knew who everybody
Yeah.
was. So I didn't want somebody to feel like we were jipping them or playing favorites. So I sent them all to Jake, and then Jake said, well, I just threw them on a random wheel thing that you do online, which was great. And Smokey came up. So Smokey was the winner, and the lady who gave us that name got herself some coffee.
Yes, I'll have to find out what the verdict is on the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Because she doesn't
Please.
actually drink coffee, but her fiance does.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. So I have to find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm more interested to see if he can get in the bag.
That's not, there's only one person that has a problem getting in the bag.
So, anyways, our topic for
You
the
hired
show
him.
today,
You hired him.
everything circles back around to that, doesn't it?
It does.
I'll tell you.
Yep. Steve will never live that one
I
down.
will never live that down.
All right. Okay, our topic for today, again, we apologize, but this is just kind of what happens sometimes. And hopefully this is why you like listening, because you just don't know what you're going to get.
We don't
So
either.
we had, no, unscripted completely. We had another thought given or idea given by by a listener, and we love those. Please, as Steve mentioned, our new email, ffifpodcast@gmail.com. Send us ideas, send us questions. It might be, maybe you're not a firefighter and you want to know something about firefighting, or maybe you are and you want to understand how to process something. Whatever the question is, send it, and we would love to talk about it on the show. Of course, we'll filter them. If there's something we don't feel is appropriate, then we won't. But otherwise, we really want to do that. In fact, I said in a Facebook post, if we never have to come up with another show topic again, we would be happy, because we want to talk about what you want to talk about. So we had a listener this doesn't, I guess it matters a little bit by the question. They're a non-firefighter, but they're a very regular listener, and we appreciate them. And he gave us a show topic idea and said, hey, is Jude 123 too cliche for a bunch of firefighters? And when I read it, I thought it was really interesting that of all the verses that I've heard firefighters claim, Jude 123 is not one of them. And it easily could be. But the pastor side of me is going to kick in here for a couple minutes, but let's just read this. Jude 123. It says, save others by snatching them out of the fire. To others show mercy with fear, hating even the garment stained by the flesh. So, just pulling that verse out, I think it'd be pretty easy to say, oh yeah, the Bible told me I need to go be a firefighter. I need to save people by snatching them out of the fire. But you would be taking that verse out of context. And it's very important when we're studying scripture and we're using verses in scripture. In fact, it's a pet peeve of mine. When people take them out of context, it really bothers me, because people base these whole, in a sense, a whole belief system sort of on these verses they take out of context. Now, here's what I want to make really, really clear, because I'm positive that the person who sent this is listening, and I know he didn't take this out of context. That's why he kind of said, is this too cliche? So I'm understanding that. But as we talk about this, it's a great little lesson. The context is saving people, basically saving people from hell by sharing the good news of the gospel. Jesus is the one who saves, but that's what we're talking about here. We have a greater call than firefighting, and as firefighters, sometimes it's hard for us to think about that, but we have a greater call than firefighting, and it's to tell people about the good news of the gospel. And so, could I claim that? Sure, but not as a verse that tells me I have to be a firefighter. So, What I thought we would do with this, though, is why I love this idea, because I literally we answer the question, right? We could be done with the podcast, and it's about right now that I figured out we weren't recording last time. So
Yes, it was.
Although I think it took us longer to get here. But anyways,
It did.
we got some of it out of our system. Can't say we got it all out. But anyways, what I thought that really this prompted was, why not share some verses that do drive us either as firefighters or just in life? So I'll kick it off, and then I'll throw it to these guys. I have a poem, as Jake has already kind of teed this up. Get your Kleenexes ready, right? But I have a poem in my office.
I'm ready.
At least it's not sweat this time.
And it's just, yeah, it's so much better in here, isn't it?
I was.
I actually, yeah, because by now we'd be just dripping with sweat. Anyways,
Remember last time it was all over the table too. Remember that? The hole in the top of the glass.
Yeah.
anyways, it's called The Call, is the title of it. And it says this: you saved me, Lord, my sins you forgive. I'm risking my own life that another is saved. You gave me this life with a request quite small. You said, love your neighbor. So I answer the call. And I found this. I don't even remember where I found this, but I really liked it, because as a volunteer or a paid on call who responds within my own community, I recognize that the idea, again, context, the idea of the neighbor is anyone. If you're a firefighter and you're driving you're driving an hour away to work, then it's still your neighbor, right? God is, when Jesus is talking about anybody here, anybody around you. But for me, it's even more personal, because they are like actually my neighbors that I'm responding to. And so this idea of loving your neighbor. So Matthew 22:37-39, and this is probably the verse I would claim the most. It says, and he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So just as importantly as loving God with all my heart, he says the second commandment, it's not less than, it's the same as, love your neighbor as yourself. If I'm going to claim to love God, then what must I do? I must love my neighbor. And for me, I would say this is the why of firefighting. We often say that we show up on somebody's worst day. And then I think, okay, when I'm having a day like that, what do I want? I want somebody to show up and care for me. And I want somebody to show up that knows what they're doing and is going to give their best and is competent. So that also even reminds me, even just to keep training, keep getting better, because if I'm going to love my neighbor, then I need to give it my best, and I actually need to be there for them as well.
Absolutely.
So, what do you guys think? What do you guys got for us? Let's hear some more verses.
Well, you had some great dialogue last time before we were not recording.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest, I
that's
completely
gonna keep
forgot about
coming
it
up.
after we stopped, realized that we weren't recording. That kind of took precedence over everything. But no, one of the verses that I like, and actually real quick to make a point on, Matthew 22 here, at the end of that says, on these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. So everything else that we come up with, I mean, it's all rooted back to that, back to loving your neighbor and having that genuineness of love for your neighbor through that love of your God, or the love of God.
Let me throw in an interesting point since you brought that up. A lot of people put they hang a lot on the 10 Commandments. And Jesus says, on this hang all the law and the prophets.
Right.
If you look at the commandments, 5 of them are about loving God, and the other 5 are loving your neighbor. And so when he says, on this hangs the law, well, that's what he literally means. The 10 Commandments are either about loving God with your whole heart or loving your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you can weigh, I think, most everything against Matthew 22:37.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but another good verse, 1 Corinthians 16:13-14, which I think is very applicable to firefighters. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, And if you watch the episode that I was on and the whole reason that I became a firefighter and the struggle that I went through and kind of that finding myself and finding my identity, I was not standing firm in the faith. And so that is, I think, every bit is important. So be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Obviously, if you're a woman, that is not applicable to you. Let all that you do be done in love, though. It all comes back to let all you do be done in love. So again, everything is rooted back to
love.
Great command, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good.
Right.
Chief or Chi-Town over here?
The one I was going with is Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be terrified nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
Wow. That's a great one.
That's a great one.
So that's one that's on the back of my business card, and I think I've got it hanging in my office too.
That's a great one.
Way back when I first started firefighting, I found, now the name isn't going to come to me, you guys everybody would know probably if I said it. It's they make dog tags, and then they give to wounded veterans and wounded first responders. But anyways, I bought it from them, and a firefighter one, and that's on there, and it hangs from my rearview mirror. It has ever since I became a firefighter, and that's what I love. That be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid. There's times that we're afraid.
Yeah.
That's in our next episode, we're going to talk about some what am I trying to say here? Some misconceptions in the fire service, and I don't know that I put that one down, but that's probably one. Like a misconception is that, well, firefighters are not afraid. Well, yeah, we are.
Right.
But don't be. And here's where my comfort comes: is knowing God is with me, and also knowing that if this call is it, if this is the last one, I know where I'm going to spend eternity. And even thinking about that too, just knowing, we don't think about it this way, but God could take me home as I'm responding to the station, right? Or
right.
It just, I think for me, and we're getting on a rabbit trail here, but I hear this, like, I understand, I don't understand because I'm not my wife or my kids, but I know that there is this, like when I leave for a call, there's this, it's this weight on their shoulders. And so I'm not downplaying that by any means, but when I hear a significant other say, well, I don't, it's dangerous, I don't want them, I'd rather them not do that. When my time is up, my time is up. And whether it's doing that or doing something else, it doesn't matter. So this verse really, really helps me remember that. Good one, Chief. Appreciate that.
Yep. When your time is up, it's going to happen.
Right.
You going to the grocery store or
laying in my bed, doesn't matter.
Yep.
You never know. You never know.
Just got to be ready.
One of them that I had, I know it's not direct, a little more indirect to what you guys are talking about, but just when you're in the firehouse and being an example, but I had James 1:22 that says, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. And one of the problems that I think sometimes people that are non-Christians are thinking about it is that, they see people talk a big game, but they don't live it. Mm-hmm, and we need to be an example. And I was legitimately having a conversation just the other day with somebody about that. And we were talking about, like maybe raising kids. And we're talking about the kids. The kids, they see it by example. Mm-hmm. We as parents can talk all day long. But if we're not living it out, then we're just confusing them because they're like, I don't get it, Dad, Mom. You're saying one thing, but you're doing something different. Right. But when they see you living it out, that's the impact. Mm-hmm. That's right. And just so you're at the firehouse, it's the same thing. You can be the one brother, and let's say hypothetically you're at a man station, and you're one brother, one Christian guy in a house full of non-Christian people. They're watching you and they're saying, are you talking big game or are you living it out? Are you the example for me? And so I think that's really important, as well, is to be an example and do what we say we're going to do.
An idea came to mind when you were talking about that with kids, because the kids are watching the parents and, well, you're telling me to do this, but why are you doing this? that was kind of the generation that I grew up in, was do as I say, not as I do. But really, if you think about that, that's not biblical at all.
No.
Christ didn't come and say, do as I say, not as I do. He said, do as I do and do as I say. And he was a living example. And that's how we have to be, for our kids and for non-believers to see Christ in us.
Just think about it this way. How many times have you met somebody and you've known them for quite a while, and then it comes out eventually, and they say, "Well, yeah, I'm a Christian." They call themselves a Christian, and I go to church, and you're like, you're blown away. I've had that where you're like, wait, but don't tell anybody, please.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want them to think, not that I'm perfect, but to your point, we've got to live different. And you're like, well, and when that's the case, if we're going to be only a hearer. I've told my people in a church, if you're just going to come to church and listen, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. If you're going to pick up a Bible and read it and not do anything about it, you're wasting your time. If you're going to listen to a podcast, whatever you're doing that has the word in it, if it's teaching you something and you're not going to do it, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. No, funny you said that. I actually had a guy I worked with one time. That was the first time I think I got frustrated at casual Christians, because I remember a guy I worked with for a number of years when I was working at the fire department, and I had no idea. And one day it was like, just like it was just me and him. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I go to church on Sunday." Like it was almost like a secret. And I'm going, and I was so frustrated. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why I should know this.
Right.
I should know. Not by you saying it, but I should just know I should know that you go, like when I meet you, I should go, "Oh, that dude's different."
Yeah,
like,
there's
I can
people
tell.
we meet, we've never met them before, but you're like, I bet they're a Christian.
Yeah, there's
just
something
because
different.
there's something different.
Oh,
right?
it's so frustrating to me when I don't know, and because I never see the actions, and then it's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, no, I should know.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to say a word. I should know that you're a Christian guy,
salt and light,
or girl."
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very frustrating, but we all should be doing it. We should be living it out. And when that heart change happens, that's when we start living it out, because we start living for the Lord, because the Lord changes our heart. We start heading that direction. We want to live for him.
Right.
And so it's like a natural process.
All right. Well, there it is. Our first podcast with Jake, officially our first podcast in the rearranged studio. They can't even see the lights that are blinding us.
Man.
But
They are bright.
Hey, really excited about what's happening here. In a few episodes, things will look a little different. We got some cord management and stuff. But we wanted to introduce Jake and this, and then talk about this. So thanks to those of you who keep sending us ideas for shows. If we don't get to them right away, don't get discouraged. We actually are acquiring a few, so we are excited about that. Keep sending them, and we want to talk about those. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching, and I invite you back next week as we dispel some myths about firefighters, and remind you, ffifpodcast@gmail.com to get a hold of us. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, share it with as many people as you can. And within a week of July 26th, you can get a great deal at redflannelcoffeeco.com, and that is Fire 35.
Yeah.
For 35% off your coffee order and a sweet sticker from FFIF Podcast.
I love it. We're at the big time now.
Big time.
We got decals.
It's the lights.
We got decals. That's when it all started. That's the next level, decals.
Right.
That's right. I don't even have that on my podcast.
You'll have to talk to your sponsor.
I'm going to, we need to make some behind, because they didn't even get to hear that
behind their back.
because it wasn't recording, but we've named Rich's podcast now the Behind Their Back Podcast.
Oh, I already have
So
a
we're
great
going to have to
idea.
make some stickers.
I can't wait to hear the
Great
first
idea in
episode.
Yeah.
It's funny how things just take a life, and we've gotten more comments from our listeners
Yeah,
about
so if you would-
Rich's podcast.
So if you would like that podcast to start, remember to email ffifpodcast@gmail. We'll see about making a one-shot episode, and it'll be straight serious. I'll hit the record button. I'll have audio. I'll have video. It'll be a one-show
Rich some
event.
ideas.
That's right. We'll limit it
It's
to
like
2 hours.
It's like a pilot.
2 hours.
Well, I'll have special guests.
Listen, Joe Rogan.
I've
Let's not take such a
I've got
big
two
step
friends.
Here. You got two friends?
Yeah.
All right.
They hear?
Wow. There's
Three of us sitting here.
Hey, you know what? You
Who's
wanna
left
know,
out?
You want to know more about that? Stay tuned. Tune into his episode of
right.
Behind Their Back.
Oh, the guy
that's
that's
good
out.
right
There you
there.
go.
It's the squirrel, I could tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's foreshadowing.
So
right?
There
if
you go.
one of us doesn't make it on the podcast,
Yep,
we're
that's
gonna
the
know.
guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Rock, paper, scissors.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Might even hear us.
Yeah. If somebody hits the button.